Hello everyone and welcome to another Uncle Heinz video. Today we're gonna install Linux Mint, and after that we're gonna set up Boinc to do some medical research. The setup is made out of Brix 1900, which has a Celeron J1900 paired with 8 gigs of DDR3 RAM, no GPU, and the plan is to do some medical research by using lowest amount of power possible, as in 20 watts. So let's find out how to do that. First off, we're gonna go into the BIOS settings, make sure the hard drive is set to the initial boot. We're gonna change this to the USB stick. Once we do that, we're gonna save and reset. Next up, we're gonna select the Start Linux Mint 21.3. It's the Mate edition. Wait for the loading screen to load. Now the desktop is loading. Let's play around with the settings. First off, we're gonna test if internet is working. So we're gonna open the Firefox browser. Now let's open a simple web page like the privacy web page from Firefox, and as you can see, it's currently buffering. There's a problem here with the internet. We're having some trouble finding this site, so yeah, that points out to be like DNS issue of some sort. So to work around this, we're gonna go into the wire connection settings. Under network and internet, advanced network configuration, click on the wired connection 1 settings, which is the cogwheel, and then go into IPv4 settings and add something like 8.8.8.8, which is the Google DNS server. Once we actually disconnect from the network and connect back, and now the page is loading, so we have internet, which is going to help us with installing packages. Next up, let's click on the install Linux Mint icon, select the language. In this case, we're gonna go with simple English and English UK keyboard, no media codecs required. We're gonna format the disk, set the time zone, set the username and the password. Personally, I like to set as login automatically because this is a machine which is running in the background. This is currently running at 6 times the speed, so that's about 360 FPS. So while this is installing, let's talk about why we went with this distribution and not some Windows server or anything on those lines. Well, because of efficiency. Yeah, well, Linux system one setup runs quite well. I mean, out of 8 gigs I'm using, only 2 are being used by system resources. So that gives us plenty of, headroom to run background process, Chrome, etc. Also, Linux Mint is probably one of my favorite Linux distros. I was about to make a video on Arch, but it was too complicated to set the DNS server, so I scratched that idea and went with something simple with a graphical interface. So yeah, this part should be done pretty shortly. Okay, now the installation has finished. We can continue using the system or we can reboot. In this case, we're gonna go with restart now. Once you're done with installing the operating system, you can press the enter key. Now we already have a problem. The freshly installed hard drive is not detected. So to go around that, we're gonna go back into the BIOS, set the boot option to UEFI, which is Ubuntu in this case. Give it a save and reset, and then restart. Now the screen is loading. There is this error message about ACPI, so I'm gonna disable the show this dialog at startup because I want best performance. So yeah, that's gonna go. And the first thing I would like to check if internet is still running. Make sure this Mozilla page is loading. Yes, it is. Now let's open a page. Just gonna type in install Boinc. First result, you have some instructions. Obviously, because this is Ubuntu, it's gonna be much easier than compiling all the tar files. So probably we're gonna use the Flatpak version, which means we can go into the software manager. So I'm gonna type in software. Then we got software manager over here. Before we actually can use the software manager, I'm gonna run a system update. So let's make sure everything is up to date. There is an error message. I'm gonna install all the updates required. That's probably gonna take some extra time to apply those changes, and probably we're gonna have to restart the system by the end of this update, just because this is a Linux image. So unlike Windows, actually Linux, you don't have to reboot the system for every restart. There is one exception, which is the Linux image headers, which is currently installing. So it's like the kernel OS slash, imagine like the Windows build behind the Windows 10 build. Once that's done, we got the reboot required. Before we reboot, I just want to also toggle the screensaver because otherwise the screen will lock itself. So I'm gonna increase it from 5 minutes to 2 hours, and also deactivate lock screen and all that. So basically it's gonna be like power down every time. Change the mirrors a bit, make it locally. Once the cache is updated, we can safely reboot. First thing I want to run is an apt-get update, which is gonna update the cache for update packages. So we're pretty up to date. Now we're gonna go into Software Manager. In the search bar, type in for Boinc. You're looking for Boinc Manager. Because it's a Flatpak package, it's actually quite straightforward to install. No need to compile anything. So it's pretty much like a Windows store. Yeah, once that's done, let's click on launch. As you can see, there are no projects, and also when I try to choose a project, there is nothing yet. Let's go into use account manager, click on Science United. That's the one I'm going for. Next, enter the email and password, and now that's done, we can add projects based on the hardware. So let's go into project, and then as you can see, I got SideDock and Rosetta. So both of them are designed to run on the CPU. Rosetta is the simple one, which is slightly faster to run, and SideDock takes about 8 days to complete on the CPU. You can also add other projects here if you're interested in asteroids, maths, all that stuff. I'm just going away with biology and medicine. If you're using different hardware like dedicated GPU and such, you can probably go with GPU grid and other mirrors. So it's up to you. Personally, I like the SideDock and Rosetta because they're quite light. Now, as you can see, you probably got 3 projects running in the background. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You can only run about 4 projects, so each project it's about a core. At the moment the CPU is used like 100%. Now let's take a look into the system monitor. RAM usage is about 2 gigs, and CPU, well, all 4 cores are used at 100%, so that's good. After 6 days, let's take a look at the results. This has been running every day, and ever since the 17th of April it's been calculating about 3 gigaflops every day. So yeah, overall pretty good results. It's comparable to an ARM 7th generation CPU. So yeah, anyway, thanks for watching and see you guys next time.